Hello and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. The top stories this hour. President Tinubu leads APC bigwigs as a National Executive Council meeting holds in Abuja. And also Justice Oshodu refuses former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele's request to step down from his case. Also coming up, death toll from military plane crash in Odumram, Sudan rises to 46. Details coming up shortly. Welcome again. Now, News Central now at this hour begins in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where leaders of the ruling All Progressives Congress converged on Abuja on Wednesday for its National Executive Committee meeting, holding at the party's National Secretariat. The NEC meeting, the first since Tinubu's assumption of office in May 2023, comes a day after the National Caucus meeting of the party. All roads leading to the venue of the meeting on Blantyre Street were cordoned off by a combined team of armed security men, including soldiers from the Guards Brigade. Despite the release of the accredited list of reporters on Wednesday morning by the party spokesman, Felix Moka, vehicular and human movement on Blantyre Street were equally restricted, leaving journalists outside. President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima are both in attendance, along with some early arrivals comprising National Working Committee members, the Forum of State Chairman, former Governor of Zamfara State Abdulaziz Yari, Minister of Budget and National Planning Atiku Bagudu, and Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu. Conspicuously absent from the NEC meeting were former President Muhammadu Buhari, former Governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai, and former Governor of Rivers State and ex-Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi. Earlier, correspondent Amadin Uyi spoke to us on the developments at the NEC meeting, and we'll bring you that shortly. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress National Caucus has reaffirmed its support for President Bola Tinubu's administrations, emphasizing party unity and strength. Governor Hope Uzodinma stated that the APC remains focused and fully backs the government. He dismissed claims of one-man rule, highlighting the party's diverse representation across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones. The caucus meeting, presided over by President Tinubu at the State House in Abuja, precedes the National Executive Committee meeting. Meanwhile, Uzodinma credited Tinubu's leadership for improved revenue generation and infrastructure development. The meeting also had Vice President Kashim Shettima and Senate President Godswill Akpabio in attendance.
To all of you, I'm very grateful. I am happy that we called the caucus and you are here caucusing. Thank you very much for the vote of confidence. I've received it, and it's very encouraging.
Off-cycle elections. Your Excellencies, the attention we give to our demographics and the domestication of campaigns have become contributing factors to the chain of electoral successes we have recorded over the last 15 months. Your Excellencies, as we are all aware, we won gubernatorial elections in Imo State, Kogi, Edo, and Ondo, but unfortunately, we lost in Bayelsa.
There are places where we cannot drive to go those places. People evacuated because of insecurity.
I bring you greetings from members of Progressive Governors Forum and to on their behalf, first, to this caucus meeting. First is to congratulate the leadership and members of our great party. To thank the Almighty God for, despite all the challenges, that the party continue to work strong.
On election matters, Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has called for stronger electoral institutions, legal reforms, and greater political tolerance among politicians and political parties in West Africa to ensure inclusive and credible elections within the sub-region. Jonathan, while speaking at the Yaga Africa Reflection Conference in Abuja, applauded the conduct of elections in 2023 and 2024 in West Africa, saying that there is a need for continuous electoral progress in order to establish a progressive pattern that gives citizens hope. Our correspondent, Idang Joseph, has more on this.
From Nigeria to Sierra Leone, Senegal to Liberia, the 2023 and 2024 elections have tested the resilience of West African democracy amidst challenges such as electoral integrity, political intolerance, and institutional independence. Stakeholders acknowledged progress in democratic governance within the region. At the Yaga Africa Reflection Conference, discussions centered on building on electoral gains and addressing persistent challenges.
The fact that the military regimes are now treated as an aberration within the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, speaks eloquently to this progression and highlights the resilience and determination of our people to embrace democracy as a way of life.
While the deployment of technology has improved the credibility of elections, Jonathan cautioned that digital solutions alone are insufficient, as seen in some countries. He called for stronger electoral institutions, legal frameworks, and greater political tolerance among politicians and political parties to ensure inclusive and credible elections that restore public trust.
If we must successfully continue on this journey of learning, adaptation, and improvement of democracy in the ECOWAS region, a pattern of progressive advancement in election processes must be established.
A former INEC chairman, Atahiru Jega, also weighed in on the issue, saying that the independence of electoral management bodies is critical for credible elections in West Africa. He urged that without autonomous electoral commissions, democratic progress will be stifled, calling for greater autonomy for electoral bodies.
To be able to get elections right, you need an election management body that can do its work professionally, impartially, efficiently, in order to deliver election results with integrity.
While acknowledging progress in electoral management, stakeholders insist that strengthening electoral institutions remain a priority.
Elections don't just stop with what happens on the day that people cast their vote.
The EU recognizes the importance of strengthening electoral institutions.
It is important to continue working together to protect security, stability, and freedom.
They add that beyond elections, there is a need for active civic engagement, calling on citizens to hold leaders accountable to protect democracy. In Abuja for News Central, Idang Joseph.
Thank you so much.
The request by former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, for Justice Rahman Oshodi of the Lagos State Special Offences Court in Ikeja to step down from trial has been dismissed. Emefiele's legal team, had on Monday requested for the judge to recuse himself, arguing that his previous rulings suggested a likelihood of bias. The FCC, through its prosecution team, opposed the request, insisting that the proceedings had been conducted fairly and equitably. On Wednesday, however, Justice Oshodi held that the allegations of bias raised by the defense against him were unsubstantiated, stating that there was no evidence to justify his withdrawal from the case. He went ahead to rule that the application lacked merit and subsequently dismissed it. And so live to discuss this, we're joined by lawyer and public affairs analyst, Justice Ojieno. Justice, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Good evening.
Great. Now, Justice, what legal grounds must be established for a judge to recuse himself from a case? And did Emefiele's legal team present a strong enough argument?
Okay, for me, I may not be able to go to the second level, touch on the second level of your question, because it's still an active and live matter. But generally, as to what legal grounds that a defendant must be able to prove in order to make a judge recuse him or herself is for the defendant to clearly show that there's going to be not just bias, but the appearance, or what is more popularly known as likelihood of bias against him, because it is very, very important that a person or a defendant especially enjoy what we call a law of fair hearing, pursuant to Section 36 of our Constitution. There has to be before a judex, a judge that is unbiased and is going to be neutral to him, because in criminal defense, the stakes are usually significantly higher than even in civil defense generally. So a defendant will be able to establish before the judge, and not just any form of bias. Bias has to be substantial. You cannot say that, oh, you are from the country that my enemy is from, or you are from the state that somebody that doesn't like me is from. That will be a flimsy one. But if he feels that he has something more substantial to prove that he did, and in fact, given this set of facts or circumstances, it is impossible for this judge to be fair to me, then that defendant has the absolute right to actually bring an application before the Honorable Court, whether orally or even by motion on notice to the court, for the court to recuse him or herself. So I think that it's possible that they felt that in this case that the circumstances are right. Maybe that was right there, but in any other case whatsoever, anybody that feels that the circumstances are aligned that will actually bring such an application. And it is for the judge to now check whether there is merit in it, either uphold it or dismiss it. If the judge upholds it, it means that the judge will recuse himself. But if the judge dismisses it, then it means that the case will continue before that judge. But again, it can form a ground of appeal in higher or in appellate court. So they may wait to get another bite at the apple in the upper courts.
Well, Justice, how common is it that defendants ask judges to recuse themselves, especially when it's a high-profile case like this one? And how does this impact a case typically?
Okay, generally, it's not a common thing for defendants to ask the court to recuse itself. Generally, in my practice, people usually just accept the judge, that defendants generally just accept the judge that the admin judge assigns the matter to. So, but when it comes to high-profile cases, just like we have also stated, categorized this one to be, it is their lawyers try to throw everything against the wall to see what sticks. And again, every defendant is entitled to all possible defenses that is available to it. So that is what our courts repeatedly say. But it is not now to abuse the criminal justice system. When it now becomes an abuse or an overburden or an extra weight or an unnecessary weight on the criminal justice system, that is when the justices too of our courts, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, they don't hold back in sanctioning the lawyers, not just the defendants now, the lawyers that make the court go through the laborious process of hearing such flimsy defenses, if it is the flimsy defense. But and the defendant generally is entitled to bring up anything that can make him not bear the punishment or not be declared guilty of a particular case. So on regular cases, no, it almost doesn't happen. But in high-profile cases, we do everything possible in order to ensure that they get their letter of defeat.
Okay, so Justice, the EFCC has argued that the trial is being conducted fairly. So what legal options does Emefiele have moving forward if he still believes that the judge is biased?
Sometimes he may want to apply for what we call the stay of proceedings. But the stay of proceedings is that even though the matter is still going on before the court, this particular issue that the judge just ruled on we'll go to the Court of Appeal, for example, and subsequently still go to the Supreme Court, which is what we often experience. Nothing stops at the Court of Appeal in high-profile matters in Nigeria. Nothing stops at any court. All matters get exhausted, and unfortunately so, and laboriously so, at the Supreme Court. So, but what will usually happen is that the court will still say, yes, I acknowledge the fact that I've ruled and you want to still appeal it, but you have to wait for me to exhaust and finish conducting the case and let it be one of the issues that you will ask the appellate court to attend to or to consider before deciding one way or another, whether to affirm the guilt or discharge, depending on how eventually the present trial court decides on it. So it may be that the matter will have to, the court will have to decide all issues before it can appeal on these points. So it's either they just accept it like that or they wait till the end of the case before they let appeal court decide on it, one way or the other.
So with everything that's happening with this case, noting the political sensitivity of it, what measures exist to ensure fair trials in politically sensitive cases such as this one?
Well, in politically sensitive cases, for me, it's a difficult one. I just pray that with Emefiele, many are indeed is traveling. It's not just this case, but a lot of other cases that he's facing. I pray that there's little. I just wish him. I wish him fair trial because he stepped on a lot of toes. It would have been even better if it was just political toes, where it looks like the whole of the average Nigerian are not very, very happy with him. So having said that, I pray that, of course, we have an unbiased judiciary. I trust that if his lawyers present the case the way they are supposed to present it before the court, and of course, if the prosecution to present their own case, which is supposed to be beyond reasonable doubt, I expect that the judge, I pray too, that the judges and the judiciary will be immune to whatever the perception of his personality and of his sins to the generality of the people are, and the court decides his matter purely based on evidence. It is my prayer, it is my hope for him, and I expect that generally, if he conducts his case well and he presents everything that's supposed to present and he defends against everything that's supposed to defend against, he generally will get justice in our court system. I believe it that much.
Well, Justice, for me, it was the exhaustion with which you gave that last submission, the resignation in the middle, and then the prayer at the end that I'm going to take as a takeaway. Thank you very much, Justice, for giving us your expert opinion.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It was a tight one for me, too.
I understand. Thank you very much, Justice. Moving on now, human rights lawyer Femi Falana has vowed to take legal action against former military president General Ibrahim Babangida over human rights violations during his regime. Speaking on national television, Falana accused Babangida of orchestrating the wrongful arrest of activists, including himself, the late Chief Gani Fahmi, and Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti. He also condemned the execution of Major General Maman Vatsa over an alleged phantom coup. Falana criticized Babangida's refusal to apologize for the annulment of the June 12 election and alleged government involvement in the murder of journalist Dele Giwa. Declaring his resolve, Falana said no apology has been offered and he will sue the former military president for massive human rights violations.
Which is enshrined in the Constitution from section 33 to section 43 of the Constitution, are inalienable rights. They are rights that are, so some professors and some scholars have said that those fundamental rights, the one like he has alleged, right to dignity of human person, right to personal liberty, and right to movement, are all enshrined as inalienable right of man, which is part of man and ordained by God at the Garden of Eden. Now, the Constitution prohibits you to restrict somebody's movement for unjustifiable reasons, unless the person has committed an offense known by law. That is the provisions of the Constitution. Now, when you subject the person to inhuman or degrading treatment by detention in a in a bad place that does not warrant, suggest, that's not good for human dignity. That is also breach of his right as contained in Section 34 of the Constitution. Then the right to personal liberty, right to personal liberty is Section 35, which his right has been detained because it was confined in a place. Then Section 40, right to movement, as the case may be. So the give and take by combination of all these rights, which is also apart from the constitutional provision in 1999 Constitution, which have made those rights justiciable, as the case may be. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights, Ratification and Enforcement Act, I think Cap 94, they are about 1990, have also granted, which Nigeria is a signatory to, it has, by Section 12 of the Constitution, has also granted the citizens of African the right to approach court, the domestic court, to approach even domestic court in Nigeria because of ratification, to enforce their right which they have infringed. So that book, which wherein IBB admitted to have, by way of apology or one thing or the other, is an admission. It doesn't matter that it has lasted 10 years, 5 years, as the case may be. A breach of fundamental human rights is a breach of fundamental human rights.
And now we go on a break, but when we come back, group calls for Afenifere youth leaders rescue, cites rising crime rates. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. And now we move on to a matter that involves News Central presenter Omotunde Adebowale David, also known as Lolo, who is a host of Jazz Theory here. Now, Lolo is joining us to talk about an incident that happened from earlier today that involves the RSS, if I'm not mistaken. Omotunde, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Please, if you would, give us an idea of what the matter that transpired earlier today was. Omotunde? Unfortunately, it might seem that we have lost her, but we are going to perhaps maybe get her back on so that she could give us full account of exactly what the matter was. We'll save it until then. In the meantime, the House of Representatives on Wednesday commenced its own public hearing on the tax reform bills a day after the Senate concluded its own two-day sitting for the same purpose. The hearing provides stakeholders a platform to offer input on the proposed tax legislation, which is expected to reshape Nigeria's revenue generation and fiscal policies. The chairman of the House Committee on Finance, Honorable James Faleke, confirmed the lower chamber's readiness to host stakeholders from the public and private sectors, emphasizing the importance of the reforms in achieving the government's economic objectives. The bills under review include the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund bills, the Nigerian Revenue Service Bill, the Nigerian Tax Administrations Bill, the Nigerian Tax Bill. The proposed legislation, first transmitted by President Bola Tinubu to the National Assembly on October 3, 2024, has been a subject of intense debate, with concerns raised over its potential impact on businesses, taxation policies, and economic growth. While the bill scaled second reading earlier this month, today's public hearing will allow lawmakers in the Green Chamber to gather expert opinion before further legislative action is taken. Now, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Ways and Means has accused the Central Bank of Nigeria of frustrating its investigation into the 30 trillion naira overdraft granted to the past administration. Committee Chairman Senator Jibrin Issa made the claim after receiving an interim report from consultants investigating the matter. He alleged that the CBN deliberately withheld crucial documents needed for the probe. Senator Issa linked Nigeria's food scarcity and security challenges to excessive withdrawals under former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. However, the CBN's Director of Banking Services, Hamisu Abdullahi, insisted the bank had provided the required documents. The committee vowed to uncover how the funds were spent despite the alleged lack of cooperation. The Nigerian naira is experiencing a notable surge, closing at 1,485 naira on the black market and 1,497 naira 11 kobo on the official NFEM window, indicating improved dollar liquidity and a narrowing exchange rate gap. This comes amidst evolving foreign exchange policies by the CBN, aiming for market convergence, while Bismarck Rwani's report revised the CBN's direct intervention figures. The overall trend points to a strengthening naira. An Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered the deployment of the intelligence response team to rescue Eniola Ojajuni, the abducted Emefiele youth leader who was kidnapped on February 17, 2025, while en route to Abuja. According to a statement issued on Wednesday, police spokesperson ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi said the police was fully committed to the safe return of Prince Ojajuni. The directive came just as the Lagos chapter of the End Bad Governance movement called on the Nigerian police and other security agencies to rescue Ojajuni. The group is questioning the effectiveness of various identity registration programs such as BVN and national ID cards in aiding security agencies. They expressed concerns that the kidnappers may kill Ojajuni given the deadline for the ransom has passed. And now we go back to our News Central host for Jasiri Omotunde Lolo, who actually had an instance from earlier today of which she will be briefing us with. Now, Lolo, we hope that the connection will stay this time. If you will please give us an idea of exactly what had happened from earlier today.
Thank you. It just happened about, let's say, 30 minutes ago. I was en route to the American consulate for an event this evening, and I was just taking the bend into Osborne Road. And I was actually edged out of the road by all the cars, and there was a convoy in front of me. Before I know what was happening, the police, RRR, police officers had stopped the car. They said I scratched government car, and they were the ones that scratched me. 3 of them came out to my car, took my car key, ordered me into their car, that I should get into their car. They were taking me to Alausa. And I said, no, I was not going to go to them. They were the ones that oppressed me on the road. Why would they be doing this to a tax-paying citizen like me in Lagos State? And I sat on top of their car because they were just going to drive off with my car key, and I didn't know what to do. It was a very harrowing experience. Trust me, I am still shaking from the encounter.
Well, apologies about that, but could you tell us exactly which of those vehicles that we have just seen is yours? Because we saw a red Camry and then a big four-wheel drive.
The red Camry is the car I was driving,
okay.
Actually.
Now,
so they actually came to the car, took the car key, and ordered the person I was in the car with out. They tore his clothes, hit him with the butt of their police guns, pulled their guns at me. Oh my God, it was a very, very, very exhausting day. And they all wanted me to get into their car, but I refused. I said I would not get into their car. And I think allegedly their car, they were escorting some prominent Nigerian, and this was part of his escort, the escorts that actually harassed me on the road.
Can you tell us who exactly was making this video we're looking at right now?
I was holding my video by myself. I was the one making the video. When the incident was happening, I just turned on my IG Live and I started to record. I started to go do IG Live so that I could get everything that was happening in real time, because there was no way I would be able to take their individual names or who they were. But I know that as long as they are on my feed, everybody will be able to see the identities of the officers who were harassing me.
I'm very curious as to exactly how this matter ended at the end of the day. You say this happened 30 minutes ago. You also said that the person who was in the car with you was hit with the gun. How did it all end at the end? We seem to have a very iffy network with Omotunde. We're hoping that we can get her back, but okay. Now, Omotunde, I hear you're back. Lola, if you can hear me, would you please tell us exactly, you said that the person who was with you was hit with the gun. Were there any injuries sustained?
His leg is hurt, his clothes are torn. He can't even come with me to the event that we're supposed to be attending together. So I just want to get...
Give me my key! Give me my car key! Give me my key! Shall you want to shoot at me?
Disturbing videos there, as Omotunde David Lolo there gives us her account from this afternoon, only 30 minutes from earlier, she says, about her encounter with the IRS. We're hoping that everything ended well. Well, of course, she is okay. We'll get more information on that and perhaps maybe bring that to you in subsequent bulletins. We hope she's fine. We now head to Rivers State, where the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress has dismissed claims that 27 lawmakers, led by Martin Amaewhule, defected to the party in December 2023. State APC Chairman Tony Okocha clarified that the December 11 event at the Port Harcourt Polo Club was not a reception for lawmakers but a celebration of the new State Executive Council. Okocha also accused Governor Siminalayi Fubara of disregarding a court order to represent the 2024 budget, calling his actions dictatorial. Meanwhile, the APC plans to launch an e-registration process to verify its members following directives from the party's national leadership.
7 assembly members, led by Right Honorable Martin Amaewhule, never defected to the All Progressives Congress. We were the one that were approaching assembly members to join us, join APC. And we have been misinterpreted to have received them into APC. That's not what happened. In that event, we invited individual members of the assembly. I need anybody to say to me that he saw a letter that I signed or the secretary signed, inviting them as an assembly. No. So when I hear some people sometimes when you hear reportage, you say that they were received by APC at the Polo Club, please drop it. That's not correct. Those were the approaches we evolved in our bid to woo them to the party. We are disenchanted with the disrespect to the rule of law by the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Siminalayi Fubara. We wondered how he picks and chooses. When a matter is convenient for him, he will take. He will immediately start implementing. But when there is
the reinstatement of former clerk of the Lagos House of Assembly, Olalekan Onafeko, by the National Industrial Court has created a new turn to the crisis, rocking the House following the removal of Obasa and the appointment of Miranda as the new speakers. Onafeko's reinstatement has been prevented. I beg your pardon. Onafeko's reinstatement had been prevented as he was denied entry into office by the Assembly. Our News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report.
If they have not done well, we have rights to say no.
The Lagos State House of Assembly drama has moved from the tussle between the former Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, and the new Speaker, Mojisola Miranda. The reinstatement of the sacked clerk of the House, Olalekan Onafeko, by the National Industrial Court in Lagos has sparked another dimension to the story.
As we speak, that is the order that subsists.
Onafeko, who made his way to the House of Assembly on Wednesday, 26 February 2025, to resume duties as clerk based on the court order, was not allowed into office.
We came for him to resume office. On getting there, though there was no rowdiness, there was no disturbance. But the issue was that the acting clerk, who is the 7th defendant in our case before the National Industrial Court, and who is the 7th respondent in the motion ex parte that we argued and was granted, locked the office and he just left. So he was not allowed to resume back to his office. But as law-abiding citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we decided that okay, we'll leave and we'll come back again. And if we come back and at any point in time anybody resists him to resume back to his office, then we charge that person before the court for contempt of the court, which is lawfully made.
You have served us the process and we are responding to that process.
One of the officials at the Lagos State House of Assembly and a representative of the acting clerk, on the other hand, gave reasons why Onafeko cannot resume duties, even though the other party believe their reasons are shrouded with sentiment and misinterpretation of court order.
I would expect that it's at the next adjourned date that you inform the court, which is in the 11th of March. You have served us the process, and we are responding to that process. And as a process, as lawyers, when we get to court, sir, you can always inform the court. We are lawyers, sir. This is what you trained us to do, to defend the establishment, even when you were the clerk, to defend the action, to defend the establishment at every stage, and that's what we are doing.
The sacking of the clerk is a new turn of the crisis rocking the assembly since the removal of Obasa, who has dragged Miranda and the assembly to court to seek redress. All eyes remain on the Lagos State House of Assembly as the coming days and weeks are expected to unfold more intrigues in the ongoing saga. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says that it is impounding about 87 truckloads of banned, expired, and unregistered products in the three markets of Onitsha in Anambra State, Aba in Abia State, and Idumota in Lagos State. The Director General of the agency, while giving the updates to State House correspondents in Abuja, says that the operation, which was planned by the agency, had joint security operatives coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor, also screened over 7,000 shops in the markets and made almost 50 arrests following the confiscation of large quantities of unsafe and banned pharmaceutical products.
All the shops in the markets were screened by NAFDAC officials, and all suspected, substandard and falsified medical products were put on inventory and removed from the premises to our secured warehouses. During this exercise, NAFDAC succeeded in removing from circulation 87 truckloads of banned, expired, unregistered, suspected falsified substandard medical products from the three markets. Right now, we have screened over 7,000 shops, and it's still ongoing. Some of the products that we have confiscated are large quantities of pharmaceutical products, including vaccines, prescription-only medicines, and so on. These products were discovered stacked in toilets, under staircase, and rooftop at very high temperatures, without consideration for cold chain storage requirements.
Coming up, death toll from military plane crash in Sudan rises to 46. We have the details after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. The news continues in east of the continent, where authorities in Sudan are reporting that the death toll from a military plane crash in the city of Durman has risen to at least 46 people. The Khartoum media office said the crash also injured 10 others. The initial death toll of 19 was provided by the Health Ministry. The Antonov aircraft crashed Tuesday while taking off from an airbase north of Omdurman, the sister city of the capital, Khartoum. The crash also damaged a number of houses in the Karari district. The military earlier said that armed forces personnel and civilians were killed in the crash, but didn't provide figures. It didn't say what caused the crash, but the health ministry said that some bodies were transferred to the Nual hospital in Omdurman. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa warned that the erosion of multilateralism threatens global growth and stability. In his opening address at the G20 meeting, he emphasized the importance of a rules-based order to manage geopolitical tensions and resolve conflicts. He stressed that multilateral cooperation is vital to address challenges like slow growth, rising debt, poverty, inequality, and climate change. South Africa holds this year's G20 presidency, chose the theme Solidarity, Equality, Sustainability. However, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Senator Marco Rubio criticized the agenda, accusing South Africa of promoting anti-American policies. 88-year-old Pope Francis, who is battling pneumonia in both lungs, remains in critical but stable condition. This is according to the Vatican's report on Wednesday. The Pope was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on February 14th for breathing difficulties, sparking global concerns as his condition worsened. However, after suffering respiratory attacks and required blood transfusions, his condition has stabilized. Doctors remain cautious, stating the prognosis is still uncertain. However, no acute respiratory episodes have occurred since the weekend, and his vital signs are stable. The Pope continues to work from his hospital suite, receiving the Eucharist and keeping up the church matters. Pilgrims have gathered in prayer, hoping for his recovery. Nigeria's visa policy has become a contentious issue following the government's announcements to change the visa on arrival system. Dr. Oluwabekpelumi Olanubi, I beg your pardon, shared her perspective on the reason for upgrading Nigeria's visa on arrival policy on Business Edge.
And we are seeing reasons why we need to upgrade some of our system. And if you look at this new system that they are hoping to come in, the system is such that it's going to be fully virtual and it's going to be fully online. And with that, there's a sense of tracking some of this data. For instance, if you apply to come into Nigeria now, the system is such that within 24 to 48 hours, you will be screened, and some of the data is actually synchronized with the Interpol and other security agencies, where a full screening process would have gone through, whereby they would have checked your profile and see your eligibility and confirm all that before you even say you want to come into the country. So this is better because we have a robust system, database, where we can actually track in and out. Or not that this is not without its own challenges, shortcoming, right? But we need to be now very careful because of cyber theft and all that comes with use of online platform and all that. So that threat is also there, and we cannot deny that. But really, for at least to curb the evident security issues that we are seeing, this is a right step in.
Sports now. Defending champion Aruna Quadri has qualified for the quarterfinals of the ITTF Africa Cup in Tunis with a commanding 4-0 victory over Tunisia's Mohamed Khaloufi. He will now face Ivory Coast's Kizito Oba for a place in the semi-finals, which also means qualification for the ITTF World Cup. However, it was disappointment for Nigeria's Olajide Omotayo and Matthew Kuti, who both crashed out in the round of 16. Omotayo fell 4-1 to Benin Republic's Salifu Abdelkader, while Kuti suffered a similar 4-1 defeat against Madagascar's Razafinarizo Antoine. In the women's category, Nigeria's Fatima Bello cruised past Tunisia's Garcia Fadwa with a 4-1 win, while Fashola Aminat edged a thrilling 4-3 battle against Tunisia's Haj Salah Aber. The quarterfinal matches are set to take place later on Wednesday evening as the tournament heats up. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu leads APC bigwigs as National Executive Council holds in Abuja. And Justice Oshodi refuses former CBN Governor Emefiele's request to step down from his case. And we also told you that death toll from military plane crash in Omdurman, Sudan rises to 46. Do remember you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazim Appeal.